I call upon all nations to do everything they can to stop these terrorist killers. Thank you. Now watch this drive.
Woke M&Ms have returned.
The power of the sun in the palm of my hand.
Green M&M got her boots back, but apparently is now a lesbian, maybe?
And now that we climbed the mountain, we get to name it. I think we should name it Shopify. Because to be honest, I couldn't have done it without Shopify. We just conquered Shopify.
And there's also a plus-sized, obese purple M&M.
Cyber is truly a joint warfare area.
Information warfare is it right now.
When the students first arrive here, we tell them, this is going to be hard. It might be the hardest thing you've ever done in your life.
I personally feel like if I'm not being challenged in life, then what's the point of doing what I'm doing?
Now watch this drive.
Google wants a hand on the ball, and their answer to ChatGPT is called Bard AI.
Like, what the fuck? What kind of name is that?
I don't know. I don't like the name.
We're talking about.
Yeah.
Well,
I know that's what we're talking about. But
it's powered by Lambda, which I hate. I also hate the name Lambda. Like, it stands for Language Model for Dialogue Applications.
They were trying to make a word out of that. Like
MDA.
They had some vague idea of what they wanted to call it, and they're like, "Hey, if we just change the N to an M or whatever, we can spell lambda."
It's annoying because there's other
boardroom.
There's other Lambda has other tech implications.
Yeah, isn't there a Lambda function for
AWS? Is their serverless function offering is called Lambda. A Lambda in general, I think, is also like an anonymous function. I think is also sometimes referred to as.
This one has a lowercase a though. Drew.
I see that, and random capitalization.
Isn't it like the MDA? Isn't the MDA like all uppercase? If I remember correctly.
Yeah. MDMA is good.
The L is also uppercase.
That like
I've never done MDMA, but if I did, I assume it would be nice. So Bing, Microsoft's putting billions of dollars into OpenAI, and they're the GPT people. Part of that is so that they can put GPT models into Bing search, and it's got Google.
Which has already been leaked. It's already been leaked.
A little antsy. Yeah, they've got GPT-4.
Yeah,
but they've been talking about that for a while though.
They also have it in Teams.
Yeah, have you seen the transcription stuff?
I've seen a little bit of the transcription stuff, but the coolest stuff that I've seen, which I mean, I guess cool is too strong of a word really, is the organization stuff. So if you have, like our organization, PetSmart uses Teams. If you have like frequent chats or a chat might be alluding to a meeting, it starts organizing those things into like to-dos and tasks and meetings and what have you, and suggested, things, which Microsoft has been doing. Outlook, Exchange has been doing for a while, but it's rather interesting. It can analyze, your work conversations and,
it is in general
to the boss as well, but
yeah. Oh, definitely. They've got just basically anything that alludes to any type of organizing, I'm sure is that's something that they'd be very interested in. There's all of these different kind of startups that have done things in this space for a while that are more interesting and cool than the big boys. It's interesting to start seeing the large companies, bring that stuff into their own offerings. We've talked about this before, but OpenAI, GPT, transformer model. They didn't invent transformer models. Google actually invented transformer models, or Google engineers, in 2017. OpenAI, the reason that they're being so successful is because they're willing to package this shit up and sell it as a product, possibly before it's ready. And maybe it should never be ready. But the larger companies now, their hand is starting to be forced a little bit. I'm sure they probably want some more time for that to bake in the oven, but at this point, they're, with Microsoft and then Google following close behind, I think that the pressure's on for them to start doing shit. And so,
touch on this,
like Notion and all these different third-party startups for chats, they've been doing this like cool AI-based summarization and vector-based searches for sentiment and for nearest neighbor matching and like really cool search stuff. So you don't have to actually type in specific keywords. It can just kind of understand the semantic meaning. Companies do that a lot with products. So like Amazon does that with product search, but starting to see it in more applications is definitely interesting.
Yeah, I just wanted to touch on really quick. Google, Facebook, Meta, whatever you want to call it, Microsoft. None of these guys are innovating. They didn't base their company, their organization on innovation. Yet they've been credited throughout history with being the innovators, being the ones that are creating new things from, whole cloth or whatever. Google wasn't the first search engine. Chrome isn't the first browser. Most of their products, Facebook certainly wasn't the first social network. Wasn't even close to being the social, and even their version of the social network that they created wasn't even close to being original in any way, shape, or form.
They just had a different user acquisition strategy. That's all it was.
Well, they also had the integration of like the apps and all that kind of stuff, which was kind of unique.
Great invention sometimes is just incremental steps on things.
Sure.
I respect that. Don't get me wrong, but it's just really weird to me. And again, I'll cover this a little bit more later on. I just wanted to kind of touch on it and get you guys ideating over it. But they've been credited. That's the big thing. Like historians have. I mean, it's written down, article after article.
Well,
book after book.
I mean, it's the cliche.
Yeah, exactly. This is a perfect example of like, you guys didn't really innovate on this. These are ideas that were well before your time.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe these companies, they do something somewhat interesting in the beginning, but when you dig into the actual backstories, the specific things that were really done, it usually comes down to there was somebody had a bunch of money, somebody had some cool tech, there was a person in the middle, that's usually the person that is renowned as being like the cool inventor, the Steve Jobs, the Bill Gates, but they just found a way to take somebody's money and somebody's tech and put those things together and package it and get you to buy it. And then that was like the initial ignition of those things, of those companies, of those organizations. From there, they just attract more and more money. And then they are just these black holes for these different people with ideas, different tech. It's people under them that are doing it all because they can't work for free. And it's acquisition of existing companies that don't have the funding. But then, yeah, you're right. Like it all gets rolled up into, and that all that's well known, but the angle of it all being, the narrative of it all being rolled up to this much like the money is concentrated, so is the credit.
Even to the point where they get credited, Microsoft and Google's of the world get credited with basically the invention of the internet, which obviously they didn't invent the internet. And most people do understand that to an extent. But what they mean when people say the invention of the internet, they mean the ubiquity of the internet, the fact that it's caught on so it is so accessible to so many people. But even then, I think they're getting way too much credit. I say if we didn't live in this capitalist hellscape where everybody's just trying to make a buck off of the public good or public spending or what have you, that really did invent the internet. The internet would still be a hugely popular thing. If we just had guys and gals in their basement with servers connecting and like old ham radio kind of style DIYers, we would have a ton of information. Most of the scholarly work, most of that effort is from public universities and what have you. So we'd have just as much information, we'd have just as much content, but it wouldn't be centralized and controlled.
We'd have less.
We'd actually have less misinformation.
We'd have
potentially. I mean, I wouldn't even go that far, but
Well, just I think we're kind of dreamcasting and imagining what does the development of the internet look like if you took the profit incentive out of it. If every single thing didn't have to be funneled into eventually or currently making.
And I think we had that a little bit. We had a glimpse of that in 95, 96 when things were first starting up. We had a little glimpse. And don't get me wrong, porn was like out there almost immediately. So it's not like this is a wholesome, beautiful thing that's like
you talked a lot about how many different innovations in web development and the internet in general are all downstream from pornography.
Yeah, from porn. But I don't know. I just find it very interesting. It was just something that I was couldn't fall asleep, and my brain was wandering. And I'm like going through all the credit that the Googles of the world and the Microsofts of the world have all the products rather that they've been behind, and it's like that wasn't the first. That wasn't the first. That wasn't even the best.
No, and a lot of times they're riffing off of each other.
Google wasn't even in the first search engine. Forget browser.
No, not even close. No. Not even when I was a freshman in college. Google wasn't even on the landscape. I mean, it was there, but no one was really using it. Everybody was bouncing between Yahoo and Excite, and all quite a few others.
Jeeves.
Ask Jeeves, and Microsoft had one. what was it?
Long.
I didn't think they had a search engine.
Microsoft
They
Long.
had I thought maybe they were backing one. Anyway, you would bounce between 3 or 4, and then all of a sudden Google just crushed the competition.
That's because Google basically made a dedicated search engine, whereas in like I feel like everything else, like even Yahoo was a website that did search. You know,
Well, that's the
Google
thing, that
Google
they-
focused only on search. They didn't focus on like
Yeah,
news and
remember
stocks and
the big draw was the fact that it was just a logo with a search field, you know, an input field
that was
right
it
in the center. Because I remember back then, Excite, a lot of those were just this cluster of ads and
that connects
recommendations, and
that connects back to the profit incentive. You know, what would the internet look like if it was able to develop without such aggressive, cynical pursuits like that? The best internet products, like the stuff that people like to use, they have very specific focuses, and they're not interested in squeezing every last penny out of you. But eventually you stop finding ways to get quarter over quarter growth, and you just end up making your shit way worse in pursuit of that.
Yeah. I do feel like Google did innovate in some ways, though. Like, I mean, you know, and obviously it's not like huge things, but like they did a lot of quality of life things. You know, they like pushed a lot of quality of life
and
things.
again,
Like,
I'm not saying that there was an iterative.
I know what you mean, but like just using the search bar or the address bar as a search bar now, like that was them. I think they were probably the first to do tabs, or maybe that was Safari. I think
Firefox had tabs a little before them. Maybe I'm mistaken though.
I don't really remember, but I mean, just do you guys remember like when?
It's an incremental stuff though, right? Like that's
well, I just the incremental quality of life things. Like, but do you remember when there was an address bar and a search bar? Like that was wild to me.
I can only remember seeing that in Internet Explorer.
Yeah. My main point is like giant transformative disruptive changes that we've experienced via the internet.
Erection.
Social networking, you know, like the social phenomenon. And prior to that, you know, just basically just being connected in general. And then now AI, I think, is this next sweeping change. None of these big tech companies were part of it, but they weren't the catalyst for that. You know?
No. And Google's always had an R&D department. They've always poured a lot of money into stuff that has no clear outcome, very similar to like Bell Labs. There is some stuff that's downstream from those types of things, but that's not new either. It's just that they happen to have a lot of money that they're able to throw at people that are smarter than them. I think it's kind of shitty, right? Like I think it's shitty that, you know, you always think of it as Google and not, you know, the actual people who wrote the papers and did the research and the studies. And that's kind of shitty. To your point, I think that a lot of the actual innovation is basically there's a little startup that's working on something cool, and then a big company comes in and is like, either we'd like to fold you into our organization and leverage your stuff. And I think in many ways, the core technology and the core possibilities of that end up getting kind of flattened. Like they get, because then it's like they can only be like you're basically taking this purely scientific approach or almost purely scientific or exploratory kind of effort, and you're like, okay, no, we have to focus this on now
profit.
This specific, and that's always just based on like what are interest rates at right now, right? Like in terms of how how creative you can be. That dynamic is fascinating because it's often people will say like it's harder to imagine a world without capitalism than the end of the world.
Yeah,
and it's like, but what if, you know, like all of this stuff, like all of this creative and scientific energy, it would still exist without, you know, needing to make sure that 80% of our best minds are dedicated to making the phone in or the camera in your phone, you know, 2% higher fidelity. You know, like there would be probably a lot cooler stuff. And especially when acquisitions are made with the explicit purpose of just quashing potential competition.
Oh yeah.
That happens all the time.
Microsoft is super guilty of.
They're all guilty of it.
Again,
but going back real quick
ahead.
though, just want to touch on the tabbed browser because I had to look it up, and apparently it can be traced back to 1998.
Doesn't surprise me.
The Pasadena software developer Adam Stiles published Simulbrowse.
Yeah,
it was
this is the whole
tabbed
like
browser, but then Mozilla put it in there. Actually, it says 1994. It was initially offered in 1994 as part of the Interworks browser.
Jeez. This is the whole hero worship of like, you know, where you get like Thomas Edison, you know, everybody, oh, you invented electricity or something.
Yeah. Mozilla was the first one.
Turns out everybody, you know, everybody was working on that same problem, and he just happened to be the winner that made the most money out of it. So he gets all the credit.
Yeah.
I definitely want to return to this when we talk about the second topic because I have other thoughts on that. But how about those Trump cards, guys?
Yeah, dude, mine is currently at $842.
Yeah, it went up to like 8. That might be the highest that I've seen it. It was like 820, and then it dropped back down to like 760. And so yeah, eat my words, because I'm like, there's no way it's gonna get.
Yeah, when we said that, wasn't it at like $200, like under 200? And you're like, it's never going back up.
It's never going back up that
I'm
high.
gonna have to repossess this, I think.
I was thinking like I would, for one, I can't sell it because I can't figure out the Matic coin bullshit. But if I did, I'm like, I have to at least.
I think you can sell it on. I think OpenSea you can sell it directly.
You can, but you have to have Matic coin just to sell it for like a transaction fee.
Okay.
You have to have like 0.02 or some Matic coin or something.
Yeah, kind of like when you wanted to transfer it to us, you had to remember you had to buy.
Yeah, you need this very small. They're like, oh, it's just a really small amount, but you have to buy like $30 at a time.
And and witnessing you struggle to go through that process, I am not willing to do it yet.
Yeah,
so I'm just gonna ride.
I did that for free. Actually, I did that at just a total loss, just complete.
And well, my point is if I sold it, I definitely, I think I need to return some of those funds to.
No, not at all, not at all. I'm still if I sold mine,
Drew gets nothing. From
I sold, I still have one. No.
Like 150, 175.
It was a gift.
It was a gift, and if I so I'm just playing around. But if I sold mine, I would still be profitable, even though I bought 3 of them.
Yeah. Here's the thing, though.
The NFT game
we'll sell it. I'll sell it tomorrow. I'll sell it tomorrow, and then before you know it, headline news.
It'll be
$10,000. $10,000 Trump cards are $10,000.
Yeah,
like, son of a.
That's how they get you. That's the whole NFT game right there.
It's a risk. It's a gamble.
It's FOMO. It's straight up.
Are either of those values going to change your standard of living at all?
No.
Well, then
no, but it would be really cool if I got 10 grand.
Yeah, 10 grand. 10 grand would not change my standard of living, but
$10,000 is $10,000. That is true.
Yeah, I would. I could buy a lot of guitars at $10,000. Let me tell you.
Yeah, but would you? I feel like you'd buy more. I feel like you'd buy
I would
more
probably
pedals.
just save it. I would probably just save it because I'm bored.
Okay, let's prices right this. I don't know what a good guitar costs. I'm gonna guess $600.
I'm gonna say a good one, $3 grand, $3 to $5 grand.
Yeah, it's usually about $3 to $5 grand.
Well, I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about.
No.
$600. You can get a decent guitar. You're not gonna get like a American-made Fender or anything.
No, you're gonna get a molded clone for $600.
No, I mean you'll still get some good Squires, which is like the budget brand for Fender.
Squires, Squires are like $200.
You can get them for usually a three, four, somewhere in there.
I'm basing this off of when I bought my guitar, and that was 15 years ago. So
yeah, but I mean your guitar, like the Epiphone is the equivalent of Squire, but it's for Gibson.
Yeah,
and it's 3.
Yeah.
What's your most expensive guitar?
$1,200. I don't have like crazy expensive guitars.
And what days would you say your house is most empty of people?
My most expensive guitar, though, I bought 24 years ago. So now I was actually just on Reverb, which is a big resale shop just for music gear. I think it's going for $2,300, something like that. My exact guitar.
It's pretty good.
So yeah, I mean it's the 24-year-old version because they don't still make it.
You could buy
kind of a limited edition.
You could buy 3 Trump cards with that kind of money.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the guitar that I just bought was almost $1,000. The Jazzmaster that I just bought.
Jazzmaster?
Yeah, it's
called the Jazzmaster?
It's called the Jazzmaster.
It's a ridiculous name.
That's like a Bronze era Batman villain.
Well, it's 1959 is when
it's like
Leo Fender.
Master.
The names are just silly, like Telecaster. Like, what? That's my main guitar is a Telecaster.
People, when they go to start businesses, they always spend a lot of time thinking about what are we going to call it? What's the logo look like? It doesn't matter. It doesn't fucking matter. It's never mattered.
Well, Fender is just the guy, Leo Fender. That's the founder of the company.
You make people like your thing. You don't. It doesn't just happen because you come up with such a good name that it's inescapable that this will be a fucking moonshot.
Speaking of music, though, and
that's
guitars,
what I was gonna say.
The album on display, yeah,
that's a tough one.
Guitars.
From this angle, let's see.
Actually, just one guitar player.
It's very dark. And in the upper left hand, like middle to left hand corner, it's like a brown and light brown. It almost looks like a vagina. Can't tell.
They actually, so this album,
or like a valley.
Specifically, a song on this album was played on an episode of Walking Dead. I don't know what season, but they just exploded in popularity after that.
It doesn't even look like there's any words on the album.
There is none. I don't know why I do this to you guys, because you're not good anyways, but
I've gotten like 3 or 4 of these albums.
We're on episode 21.
That doesn't matter.
This is just an exercise in hubris. Like, this is just...
Yeah, this one, it's hard to tell if that's like clouds or what.
This is the vegetables portion of
Do you
our
want me to tell you
podcast.
what it is?
Just bring it closer. If it has no words on it, then it should be fine.
No, instead of bringing it closer, I'm going to describe what it is. So it's essentially a dark square.
Yeah.
With one little ghostly image in the top center.
That's ghostly.
And that ghostly image is 2 feet held by hands, basically a person doing a cannonball into water.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
the cranberries.
That still tells me nothing.
The cranberries. It does have a woman lead singer.
Who does that cannonball song?
That's the Breeders.
Okay. Yeah, I have no idea.
Hold on.
Are you gonna enhance?
I'm gonna do my best.
Yeah, I'm gonna do my best too. Give me a second.
Here, let me bring it as close as possible. See if you guys can do that.
Don't do that. Don't do that. That's cheating.
No?
Yeah, don't do that.
You don't want?
Wait. Yeah, bring that up.
No, I don't got it.
I feel like I know what it is.
It doesn't have any words on it, so there's no amount of for the reflections.
I actually know that.
Do you?
Yeah, nothing really else going on. I mean, it's just void, water.
Oh, I got it. I got it.
You got it?
Yeah. Civilian.
Okay, so Civilian is the album or the artist?
That would be the album.
No, it's Wye Oak.
Yep,
Civilian.
It's Wye Oak. Civilian, yeah.
When you said Civilian, I was like, oh, that's Wye Oak.
So yeah, Jen Wasner is the guitar and vocalist. It's just a 2-piece, so it's kind of like a White Stripe situation. They're really, really great though. Seeing them live is like, they pull it off. They pull off like a full band sound, just the two of them. Given, they use tracks and stuff. They use, the drummer will play like a synth and kick off tracks is when you have like backing tracks, things that kind of fill up the sound. But yeah, it's a really great album. And again, I think the song Civilian, is the song that was featured on Walking Dead. And they basically exploded.
What kind of scene
because of that song
was that underneath? What kind of scene in The Walking Dead was that played underneath?
I can't remember specific. I do remember catching the episode, but I think it was like a resolution kind of thing where the things were kind of ending. Like the episode was kind of ending, I think, but I can't remember specifically. Yeah. Well, it was released in 2011. I think it was whatever season was around that time. So, which is shocking that Walking Dead was like.
Who knows? That show's still going on, and it's crazy.
Well, it's absolutely nuts.
Walking Dead proper is still going, or just the spin-offs?
I think it's on the last season right now.
Really?
Yeah.
I only saw the first season.
Yeah, it gets repetitive after that, but I feel like I don't want to say it jumps the shark a little bit, but it kind of jumps the shark.
Yeah.
Probably like the 4th episode, or not 4th episode, 4th season. Sorry. What were you going to say about jumping the shark, Drew?
Oh, no, I was going to say, I don't know how you do that when your premise is itself kind of a shark jump.
Yeah.
Yeah, to an extent, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the only shark show I like is well known at this point.
It's
Sharknado.
Sharks that are contained in a tank.
Sharknado.
Jaws.
I would like the next Sharknado to have Mr. Wonderful and Lori and Mark Cuban.
Oh, these are the people.
Of course, they're the sharks, Randy. What would a Shark Tank Sharknado crossover look like? Give me your pitches now, please.
It could be a lame approach where it's somebody like the movie Twister, where they have like a weather machine that they're trying to manufacture and sell or something, or some sort of weather devices, and they're pitching on Shark Tank.
Okay, so you're saying,
of course, the studio gets hit by a tornado at that very moment, though.
Okay,
let's get some drama.
Maybe they're like in the pitch room and they've got this genetic modifying machine that they're pitching, and they've only done plants so far. They've never experimented with anything beyond this. They've got this machine in the studio, and as all pitches on Shark Tank begin, it's 30 seconds of silence so that they can get a shot of the whole the whole setup. That is true, by the way, and very weird to consider that would be a thing. Like, could you imagine going in to give your pitch?
All this.
You go in, you go into the room, you go into the room, and then you have all your materials, your pitch materials. You've got the sharks in front of you, and then everybody just dead silence for 30 seconds, staring at each other, while the crew just gets like panning shots. Horrifying.
That sounds awesome.
Terrible.
I think the crew should have a way to judge each other in some sort of employee kudos kind of system. They give each other points.
Oh yeah. If only there was a way to do that. Carl, do you know of a way that they might be able to do that?
Someone should.
Yeah, actually, there's this bad tech software. I call it bad tech, called Nectar, that does that.
It's probably great tech, but
I don't care. Whenever people like create tech to do like social credit scores at work, I call it bad tech.
I just want to really quick. Are you on the website, or have you checked the website?
Yeah.
No.
You've probably checked the website, right?
Oh, wait, Nectar?
Nectar.
This is your suggestion. What do you mean you haven't?
Yeah, yes, I've been to the website.
And you scroll down to about, I don't know, the top third of the website, and they have how will investing in culture change your business, like the big headline.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's like high turnover, and then just an arrow facing right. Low employee turnover. Create a culture that employees won't want to leave.
Oh damn!
Yeah. What is going on?
Well,
they're not clickable.
No,
they're
it's
not
like do you have high turnover? This is how it'll now be low turnover.
Would you rather be higher or lower?
But I mean, it's like a value statement without actually any sort of proof statement or any sort of validation.
No.
You're just like jumping right into this weird, like low morale. Well, right arrow. Let's point you to high employee morale, frequent recognition, meaningful rewards, and connection to peers.
Well, if you scroll down, you can see that 94% of customers see an increase in employee engagement. What a nothing stat. Yeah,
but I mean, even
when you rolled out, you saw an increase when you rolled out
even
your
that
engagement
stat
platform.
though.
Congratulations.
Why isn't that stat higher on the page? Like, why are we jumping?
Because it's a lie.
Remote workers siloed? Well, connected remote team. Like, you should just.
The only thing that you're saying, with these numbers is that we didn't make it worse when you implemented us marginally better. Also, what was the manner in which you conducted this survey? Like, what was your methodology? Did you just say, "Hey, did you see
that's
an
what
increase
bothers
in
me"?
Because if somebody is paying for your shit and they've had to justify it to the people at their company, of course they're going to tell you good things about it. Because if it doesn't work, it's their fault for wasting money.
Well, it's not even that. I feel that because it has this, I keep calling it a social credit score, but that's what I'm going to call it. Their Kudos system. Because of this Kudos system, it's not really a fair test of something anyway. Like, because as soon as you put people on to this system where they have to earn points, at work, of course there's going to be more engagement because they have to be more engaged. Otherwise they're going to get fucking fired. Where I heard for the other software is my partner's company actually implemented it. They rolled out the Kudos system, and the Kudos, basically each manager gets a certain amount of like points, which is these Nectar points thing to divvy out amongst their employees. And the best part about that is it's all public. Right, it's public information within the group,
within the organization.
So, and it's so you can say, oh yeah, I gave so and so 30 points, and I gave the other person 10 points, and it's like, what the fuck is that going to do for morale? You're going to lose the low scoring people eventually because they're going to be like, this is bullshit, or it's going to make them like try harder because they have to, because they feel like they're going to get fired if they're low performance or low engagement. I don't know. It's such bullshit.
But guys, we have 6 pillars that enable great culture.
That's a lot of pillars.
Connection, recognition, empathy, alignment,
create.
trust. I'm assuming it's elevation. My screen's cutting it off because it's bad responsive design. Create. Yes. Create.
Yeah.
If you didn't catch on, those letters, those words spell create.
Yeah. It's just a fucking joke.
Let's just focus on this for 1 second. Create. So first connection, building community and camaraderie in the work environment. So I don't know, like giving kudos, I don't know how the fuck that's going to work, but whatever. Recognition, frequently acknowledging each team member's contribution. I could see how that would work. You're giving points, blah, blah, blah. Okay.
Yeah, I understand like giving people recognition for what they do, but companies do that already for
Empathy.
the most part.
Truly caring for your people and their overall well-being.
No.
Okay, no. This software is not doing that. No piece of software is going to do that.
Yeah, it's not going to create empathy. I'm sorry.
alignment, unite around a shared purpose that makes work meaningful? No, it's not going to. There's no piece of software that's going to do that. Nope. So the E&A are out. Yeah. Trust, give people autonomy and flexibility over their work. No, it can't do that either.
And it's also not giving them autonomy because now it's forcing them to participate in this shitty ass fucking program. Otherwise, again, they might get fucking let go.
Yeah. And then create opportunities. Elevation is create opportunities for the growth and development of each team member. Okay, yeah, if you tie this to some sort of goals or reviews, yeah I guess inevitably that is what is going to happen.
Yeah, and
but that's a choice by the employer. This is the copy on this page is such nonsense. Not just the stats, but the whole thing is so transparently bullshit that I cannot believe that an HR professional would stumble upon this and actually purchase this fucking product.
I'm asking them a question.
It's insane to me. What are you asking them?
Are very you say, hi, the stats you put on your homepage are very compelling. I would love to implement Nectar at my office, but my manager is asking for some more information. Can you share a bit more specifics around the metrics KPIs that your customers saw improvement around?
Oh my God. Why are you doing this?
Let's see. It's gonna be ChatGPT that responds to you.
It's gonna be an auto response.
Oh man,
they have birthdays and work anniversaries on autopilot.
Nectar will be back tomorrow.
That's a good burner email.
Biden at whitehouse.gov. So this is just silliness. Let's go to Zuckerberg. Let's talk about AR. Which did you guys end up buying that domain?
Which one?
We own it. We certainly own it because
somebody
owns it. You guys could never find it though. You could never find who.
I know. I don't know where we own it through.
I did not buy it. So it was probably Drew. It was probably Drunk Drew, which
I have 15 email addresses somehow, and so I can't even find the receipt if it exists.
All right, I want to just jump right in. Mark Zuckerberg, as part of this whole internal tech emails, which is a Twitter account, it's just at tech emails, highly recommended. They basically just glean through FOIA, like Freedom of Information, or court records or what have you, because all these companies are getting sued left and right. They glean all these records and then just publish them on Twitter, and it's really fascinating. It's like weird conversations between executives at Google and Meta and what have you. But this one is from June 26, 2015, Mark Zuckerberg. And he's writing, I'm assuming, to a bunch of the leadership at Meta, maybe even the board, like basically a finance kind of email, like this is the direction that we're going to take, strategic finance, whatever. Second paragraph in is the one that's kind of got me thinking, which I touched on earlier, which is our vision is that the VR, AR, the virtual reality, augmented reality, will be the next major computing platform after mobile in about 10 years. So this is 2015, so 2025. So we're a couple years, guys. This is
any day now
upon us. It can be even more ubiquitous than mobile, especially once we reach AR, since you can always have it on. So
yeah, everyone wants something everyone wants and would love to have.
It's more natural than mobile since it uses our normal human visual and gestural systems. It can even be more economical because once you have a good VR, AR system, you no longer need to buy phones or TVs or many other physical objects. They can just become apps.
This was the promise of the fucking phone.
So this is the point that I was trying to make. Why would any of the receivers of this email from Mark Zuckerberg, who notoriously lifted the entire idea of Facebook, completely lifted it. He didn't invent any part of that. Why wouldn't they now trust this man to guide this company in this innovative direction? Instead, if I were in their shoes, I'd be like, dude, who are we going to buy next? Like, just tell me that. Who's the hot kid on the block that we're just going to purchase? Like, because we only can innovate through acquisition. I don't know if this is pre or post, but
I mean, it's 2015, so I think that's pre-Oculus.
Yeah, pre.
This is just him justifying whatever they paid for Oculus. No, this was Oculus was acquired in 2014.
Oculus was not the first VR system, though. So
no, I know, but I'm saying I just am trying to connect it to stuff that was going on at the time.
Gotcha.
But that's even more to my point. I mean, obviously he's the CEO of the company, so it's his call ultimately. But he's making his decisions based on this demonstratively falsifiable narrative that he is an innovator. He is not the innovator. He's surely you can pick some winners, don't get me wrong, but those winners that you're picking are already, it's already an established industry. So this whole thing, like our vision is that blah, blah, blah. What are you talking about? You have no vision. You just wait until someone rises up above the fray of like whatever and has some success in whatever vertical, whatever category, and you purchase them. That's what you did to start this whole company. So why am I going to take this seriously whatsoever? What have you proven to me, Mr. Zuckerberg?
This whole thing kind of reads like one of my 4 a.m. messages to you guys.
Yes, it does.
Yes, but the difference,
I was actually thinking that when I was reading it, I was like, this sounds like Drew.
This is, but the difference is that I shouldn't know better because I don't have $100 billion. But it actually takes, to your point about who we're going to buy next, Randy, the actual point of this email, I think, is, and maybe he does buy this stuff. I mean, he clearly does. I mean, just with the Meta rebrand and everything and how much money they've lit on fire in pursuit of that. Which, but I'm always kind of suspicious that it's like this is just an attempt to hard pivot because they see the writing on the wall for advertising and getting murdered by Apple. It takes like 15 paragraphs to get to the meat of this, which is I want to buy Unity.
That was crazy to me. Like I didn't even. I mean, is Unity even up for sale?
They're still around. I think they just recently got bought by somebody else. Actually,
did they?
Yeah, they did. They did. Mm-hmm. Yeah,
really?
Probably for less than they would have made if they actually sold back then.
It's some other evil company.
Yeah,
they're all evil.
Unity, it kind of lost its coolness factor by the time it did get purchased, which is almost 10 years after.
Did it really? Because I feel like the indie game scene primarily uses Unity.
It's still very popular, don't get me wrong, but it didn't have the sexiness that it had in 2015.
It's moving. People are moving away from it. The Godot is the cool kid on the block.
Yeah, recently. Which has been true for quite a few years now.
Yeah.
Basically, I think it's kind of outlived its coolness factor. Well,
they hit the wall where they can't do quarter over quarter growth anymore, so they just have to start being evil.
They should have sold probably like 5 or 6 years ago.
Probably.
But here's another curious thing about this. So right after this paragraph, which is the value statement, or not even the value statement, I shouldn't put it like that, because he actually goes into more value. This statement is the change humanity, the importance of AR, VR. That's it. One paragraph. Paragraph. I have a hard time believing that if you were talking about if you're on the cusp of the social network revolution, that you would dedicate one paragraph to how much social networking is going to transform the internet or humanity or however you wanted to frame that. There is no argument here. Zuckerberg does not present this in any way, shape, or form of like why this would be important to people. He's just like, well, you don't need to buy phones or TVs. It's like, well, why though? What are we going to do? Like, what is this going to do?
How is this better? How is this better than the current solutions?
Like, why social networking?
I think it's a little blind too, because people will still buy TVs and stuff because you know what I mean. But it's not like the TV is not just a personal thing. I mean, it can be. But
is he envisioning a world where like you come over to watch the game and you got to bring your headset and we'll like plug them into each other?
Well, I mean, look what they did with meetings and stuff. So yeah, that's what they're fucking thinking.
He doesn't take any position when it comes to the actual hardware behind things. So he doesn't even really talk about Oculus or anything.
Which is
so
insane.
I think he's kind of leaving that up for grabs. He's more focused on the ecosystem. So he wants to do the Apple Play and AR, VR before someone else can do it first. But again,
gestures towards that. You can't do it without the hardware.
Yeah, but rewind a second. Why would people want to do this? Like, he doesn't say, like, hey, AR would enable someone to watch the World Cup on a coffee table in the round.
Randy, you get to use it with your eyes. You get to look at it with your eyes. He said it. You get to use your human gestures to control.
And I'm not saying that you should be that prescriptive, but if you were talking, again, I think if Zuckerberg was talking about Facebook in its early inception, he would say, well, this gives an opportunity for every single person to have a website on the internet. It's like, okay, yeah, that's kind of cool. That's exciting. Like every single person will have some representation. They'll be able to upload some personal stuff, some of their photos, some talk to family, what have you, on the internet. That is hugely transformative. That was unheard of because only geeks had websites, only coders, only people that could actually delve into that stuff. There's nothing about that.
He's not actually articulating a vision. Like he's not actually, like you said, he's not making a compelling case at all for the why of it. He's basically just asserting that on the next one, the next big thing, it was phones. We missed it on the phones. Now AR and VR that exists, and there's technology that lets us do it for. It's like it's getting cheaper to build these things, which necessarily means that everyone's gonna want it and use it all the time, and it's gonna replace your phone and your TV. And have you seen them? The price of them, like the the battery life, the size of them, which is why, like, if you are articulating a vision where you're like, no, like these are going to be really small, like they're going to be on your glasses, like they're just going to be a HUD for your regular glasses that you wear all the time. Like you can start to kind of see where it's like, okay, but in the current iteration of these things, they're clunky, they're gross. To get to a vision like that, though, you actually do have to invest in the hardware. I would say that it's like the biggest thing that blocks adoption of this stuff is, one, like you said, like, what is this doing that's actually better than any of the current systems? But two, people have to want to have it on all the time. And we're not there. We're nowhere near that.
No. Can you imagine, like,
we may
all the
never
people
go there because there may not be any.
All the people that don't wear glasses every day are going to be like, you think they're going to want to start wearing glasses just for the AR aspect of it?
It's on my phone.
No, yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. They're not going to do that.
I think that's the argument, and he's I don't know. He's either putting the cart before the horse, or he just doesn't really have the vision. He has no idea like why someone would want to use this type of technology. So he's just throwing darts at a wall.
Yeah. I mean, I do think there are niche, markets where this type of technology will be very, very cool. I just don't think it's widespread adoption type stuff. Like, I mean, I think we've talked about it before, like techs in automotive having AR, to show them, to walk them through processes or something. Like, that's really cool. But the average consumer, what's going to happen, right? You're going to walk down the street and all your AR is going to do is basically just show you a bunch of fucking ads. Because that's what's going to happen. And instead of having to scan a QR code for the menu, now it might just show up on your glasses, But really, it'll just be a bunch of ads. Everywhere you go, there'll just be AR ads everywhere. That's what'll happen. Like that's it.
Yeah.
Like
so, and he actually says that. He says that on like the last page.
Yeah, I read the whole thing, vision. But I didn't really see him talking about like that necessarily. But
no, I mean, to his credit, you can't be too prescriptive about these types of things, like these visionary statements or anything. But I still think especially when he says, like, in the first paragraph or the first page rather, the humanity argument, he actually uses the word humanity somewhere in here.
Yeah, beyond the sheer value we can deliver to humanity by accelerating and shaping the development of this technology, we have three primary business goals: strategic, brand, and financial.
That right there is what really rubbed me the wrong way. I'm like, what are you talking about? You're talking about heady like the betterment of humanity without even saying anything about how this could potentially benefit anyone.
That's the thing. AR VR shit is so situational. Medical technology, sure. People, letting soldiers kill people more effectively, specifically children, sure. The, gaming is where it's at, and I think there's an admission of that with like most of the investment that is talked about in here being Unity, the games platform, and maybe he has an idea for using it for different things or whatever. But people, the use cases for this are so situational, and he wants it to be this massive, transformative, society-shifting thing on the level of like the smartphone or of the internet. He's not doing a very good job, and to me, and I don't know, maybe I'm off on this, but this reads to me like somebody who's desperate for a pivot because he feels the company approaching a ceiling very quickly and needing to create new markets basically to then fill. Like that's
which, again, back to my point, why is he ever assuming that is his position in this world? Because his position in this world is, by the sheer consequence of having so much goddamn money, you just buy whoever is going to come up with the next cool thing.
Yeah.
Why didn't they buy OpenAI? Or invest billions of dollars in OpenAI,
like because all their money
Oculus,
was tied up in worse teams.
What was the acquisition cost for Oculus? It was some $2 billion. Ridiculously, So they bought that. I mean, maybe that was it. That was their.
Well, yeah, no, maybe a year later they're looking at this, or he's looking at this a year later, and he's like, "Well, that really hasn't done anything very interesting. So I need to. We really need to, make sure that we have a reverse justification for that."
Just goes back to the whole, like, none of these people are actually that intelligent. None of these people are the innovators and the strong, like, Henry Ford's or Thomas Edison's, which they probably weren't even as,
No, it's all
Edison stole from Tesla. So
yeah, it's just a joke. All this like innovator.
We've given all of this power and money to people, and that's why I love like these like leaked emails or the ones that are disclosed in court cases, because it really does and I'm obsessed with them. Like I send them to you guys all the time.
Yeah,
even little ones, like somebody like there was one the other day where Steve Jobs, like 2009, who's like, Steve is looking for the financial reports on the App Store, and the guy's like, no, it's okay, like we're profitable, it's fine, just I'll send it over. It really is just goofballs all the way down.
Mm-hmm.
And then some goofballs just get real lucky, or they're just willing to be huge pieces of shit and step on people.
These special snowflakes that we all aspire to be, and all this bullshit. They're not that much smarter.
They're just people.
No, we just want their money. That's all.
There's a lot of luck that built into Facebook, for instance. Right place, right time. A lot of luck.
And a part of it is, I think, like there is some agency in it, but that agency is just that like our society rewards being a huge piece of shit. And so if you are willing to be basically, which is why it's really funny when they talk about this big game about helping humanity. And it's like, everyone fucking hates you.
Yeah.
Humanity, you don't like humanity. And this is just like an overcorrection of that.
Great way to help humanity though is curing blindness.
Actually, this does tie into this really well.
It does.
It's a weird one. The Mr. Beast thing. Do you know a lot about Mr. Beast?
No.
I know quite a bit, yeah.
Well, you've got children that are of Mr. Beast.
It's not actually through
age.
children. Strangely enough, I learned about Mr. Beast through Casey Neistat, that YouTuber.
Yeah, the vlogger.
Yeah, the vlogger. He brought him on his show right when he was starting to get some traction. I think right when he got his first 1 million followers or what have you.
Mm-hmm.
Which is hilarious because that's like a ton of followers, but in the YouTube land, it's like, oh yeah, you're doing all right.
Yeah.
And I think that was.
Yeah, he just got promoted to junior dev. It was crazy.
Yeah, some of his first weird. You can't call them pranks or whatever. There's the one where he was like giving away a house or something based on. Yeah, whatever. Anyway, yeah. So I've known about him for quite a bit.
I've heard the name Mr. Beast, but I didn't know anything.
He's in the intro music right now. Shopify Mountain is Mr. Beast.
I'm not so much interested in Mr. Beast the guy as I am around about the discourse around Mr. Beast.
He seems so naive and so, I don't know, out of his element, I guess. I don't even know. Like he's got no idea what he's got.
He's got a technically multi-billion-dollar net worth just based on the his command of the attention economy, and it all comes from starting on YouTube and eventually making content where you just give money away to people, and that brings more people in. You get more money as you give away more money, and so that's kind of the business model is basically just like philanthropy as a business, which is kind of interesting. And then he's got all those subsidiary Mr. Beast Burger and all those subsidiary things that kind of wander off of the attention that his main channel gets.
Is he kind of the originator of the whole like charity video thing?
I don't know. Well, he's certainly
I see
leader.
A lot of it these days. You know what I'm saying? Like where people just go up to random people and give them money.
There was a flashpoint of this though. He made a video where he paid some money to have 1,000 people cured of blindness. There's a type of blindness or cause of blindness that can be cured through a relatively simple medical procedure that many people do not have access to because our healthcare system is a fucking joke. The video was him basically funding that. There was a lot of attention that video got, and there's like a few different camps in terms of how people are talking about it. One is, pro Mr. Beast, thank you, sir, you will save us. One is this guy, he's clearly got some skeletons in the closet. Like he's, any day now, there's going to be some huge scandal that drops. I'm not interested in either of those camps. People pointed out, hey, the specifics of it aside, it's kind of fucked up that there is such an easily curable blindness that people are locked out of because of money.
I really like the way the guy put it. It's paywalled. And I was like, Jesus fucking Christ. Like, yeah, I mean, obviously that's what you just said, right? It costs because of money, but just the language of saying something is paywalled, people are so familiar with things being paywalled. When I first saw this article, I didn't know much about Mr. Beast at all, but yeah, what kind of grabbed me was the same idea, was why is this such an issue? Because it's cataract surgery, basically, right? I mean, and which is so common. I mean, cataracts are common.
The way that he's kind of responded to some of the observations that have been made around the situation does make me not like him very much.
Yeah. He definitely gives me some. I'm a little suspicious. Any interview I've seen with him on it, I don't necessarily trust the guy.
No.
I don't know why. I mean, to use
tweet.
The Zoomer term, the bad vibes, just bad vibes.
Mr. Beast tweet, January 30th. Twitter, rich people should help others with their money. Me, okay, I'll use my money to help people, and I promise to give away all my money before I die. Every single penny. Twitter, Mr. Beast bad. Okay, yeah, hey man, maybe everything in the world isn't like about you. Again, with that effective altruism thing, the fact that you have a lot of money, it doesn't make you a good person because you help other people with it. You shouldn't have that money. This like willful ignorance around it. It's like either you're an idiot or you are, and I assume it's this, you're intentionally misunderstanding what people are saying, the points that people are making. Like, it's like when people are like, oh, okay, leftists, so if you can't have $1 billion, what happens when you make your $999,999,999? Like, what happens then? It's like, no, the point is that we should, like, when you say billionaires are bad and that nobody should be a billionaire, you're making a systemic critique. You're not saying each individual person. You're saying that the structures in place should not allow for such disparities in wealth when there is not such a disparity in human ability, and certainly not in what dignity humans are owed and what level of comfort that they are just by virtue of them being a human being. And so for just taking it and making it about you, right? Like, which is exactly the critique. If somebody is making a critique of Mr. Beast specifically, it is that, okay, if you want to give away that money, that's great. But you are then you're leveraging that like as part of your business, as part of your brand, essentially, to then like, and then he's saying, well, no, I'm doing that so I can give away more money. It's like, I can't imagine there's a more efficient way for billions of dollars to be distributed than through this guy's fucking whims. And so we're just all at the behest of this fucking guy because we've developed a system that allows for this. And sure, he may have found a way to, squeeze as much money out of the system as possible, but that's not virtue. Like, that's not something to be admired. You've discovered an exploit that should be patched.
It's also still kind of like done as like a lottery too,
Yeah, even for how he's distributing it.
Yeah, these thousand surgeries. Like, how did you choose these people? Like just randomly.
It's I don't know. It's
fucked up. It's fucked up
because he's allowed to say like, no. Well, you can't be mad at me because I'm helping people. It's like, I mean, is it objectively good that like these people can see now? Yeah, of course it is. But the fact that people are like having discourse around it and they're just not immediately like bowing down to you, and it's causing you to kind of like have a crisis of confidence on Twitter a little bit, is I don't know, bad vibes.
Yeah,
I mean, it's like that's what every billionaire does, right?
But if you're watching this,
they donate like $250,000 to some charity or something like that, and they're just like, oh, see, I'm good. It's like, no.
Yeah. Oh, how else? How else is he using his money? Oh, hydraulic press versus Lamborghini. How many blind people could he have cured with the Lamborghini money, Mr. Beast?
Actually, ironically, he one of his first viral videos was him just counting to 100,000. So harkens back to our counting.
It's like, I don't know. If you want to be this very publicly visible, if you want to be this like thought leader, if you want to be this extremely renowned philanthropist, you can't get mad when people critique you.
Yeah.
Like, you open your fucking books if you want to be so like, oh, well, actually, technically, we don't make any money because the average Mr. Beast video lost $1.5 million last year. What a crock of shit.
On, man.
Yeah, give me your QuickBooks. Yeah, let's see how that plays out. Yeah,
I mean, he's got a staff. He's making money. It's
no, that's the thing. Of course he is, and he's got that's so okay. Even if that's true, which I'm sure you can crunch the numbers however you fucking want. But even if it's true that he's losing money, quote unquote, on his main channel, the money that he's making from his subsidiary products, from his other channels, things like that, like it's one thing. It's you are the guy. So you can't just like look at each vertical and cherry pick. Oh, well, actually, if you only count my receipts at Burger King, I've actually lost $500 this year. If that's the only thing you look at.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that, like you mentioned earlier, he's got Mr. Beast Burger. He's got this company called Feastables. He invested in this tech startup called Backbone. He's actually got criticized earlier, 2021, because he heavily promoted a cryptocurrency that ended up losing a ton of money. I mean, he's got money. He's obviously got a lot of money. And his whole philanthropy, basing a business on philanthropy is what I think is throwing a lot of people off as far as criticism.
When people call it poverty tourism, and they've made points at that, and it's like I don't even know if it's quite that. It's just I'm sure there's certain videos that are more like that, but it's like, why are you going after this guy? And it's like, I'm kind of like he's showing up in my feed on purpose. Like that's his whole thing. Like he's being the comparison, he's taking up a shit ton of space. Yeah,
is a show like Who Wants to Be a Millionaire kind of thing. Like Who Wants to Be a Millionaire made more money than $1 million every episode. There was a reason that it could stay on air and it was doing the thing that it was doing. It's the game show, even though it's got this huge prize at the end that not very few ended up winning or whatever.
Yeah. You can't that's like
formulates itself as a
that's like fucking Pat Sajak be like, I'm a philanthropist.
Yeah.
No, you're a game show host, fucker.
That's what Mr. Beast is. He's a game show. He's a contemporary game show host. So the games aren't as easily followed, and sometimes it's not just like question based or Jeopardy or what have you. But they're games. They're pranks and games that he ends up giving hundreds, if not millions, of dollars away. But with the viralness of them,
what does that even fucking mean?
That's still a fraction of what he's making off of it.
And he's and that's the thing. Like he can do this. Like it's people when they think about money, they think about their own budget. Like they think about at a certain level, it's just numbers on a screen.
Mm-hmm.
He gives away however much money. It doesn't fucking matter. As long as he's got a few $1,000,000, which he's got significantly more than that, I'm sure.
Oh yeah.
And he's got not only the cash money in the bank, but the investments and the influence that allows him to get a bunch of shit for free. He's got existing connections. He's got influence, power.
He has a net worth of $100 million.
Yeah,
He was on, and his channels are valued at over $1 billion.
His salary is $3 to $5 million a month.
Mm-hmm.
When people think about like philanthropy, people think about giving things away, giving money to people. It's usually somebody's giving up something, but he's not only is he. It's very similar to like the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, where you create these like philanthropic organizations and funds that are ways to get out of taxes, ways to launder influence, ways to, build your own personal brand, avoid inheritance tax or whatever. And it's like very similar to that. He's just min-maxing around, like you said, Randy, philanthropy as business.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like not even about this fucking guy personally. It's just like you want to be the big philanthropy boy. Like that's your whole thing. So don't get mad when people like, if you're claiming to be a charity, when people want to audit you like a charity or critique you like a charity.
He was on that Friedman podcast. He was actually critical of Friedman because Friedman was taking him down this whole like analytics line where he kept on asking him like about YouTube's algorithm and about the metrics and analytics and how he figured this out. Because that's Mr. Beast's big thing, is that he somehow gamed the system in order to gain popularity. And if you look into the guy's history, Mr. Beast's history, it's like his original staff was like basically just analyzing the top YouTubers and seeing what videos were successful and trying to extract the je ne sais quoi of those videos and recreate them in some meaningful way. And so this whole philanthropy thing is just something he stumbled into the first place. It's not
just
like
a consequence of the algorithmic approach.
Yeah, he figured out, okay, there's this, and some people criticize this as being like a toxic positivity, the traits of YouTube, as far as like,
definitely.
There's a certain positivity that seems to be successful. And then, so he's just analyzing all these videos and duplicating them, and then he stumbled on this successful trick and he just exploited it to the nth degree. Which I'm not saying like you need to always have these like wholesome, everybody needs to be Mother Teresa or something, but to them,
but he's trying to be like, he's claiming
to be so
that he is
sensitive about, like, to your point, to be so sensitive now to being criticized for something.
Would you vote for me if I ran for president, Paul?
Do you have anything to say, Mr. Beast? Do you have anything to say at all? Why should we watch you? Like, do you have any, like, is there anything that you have except for the algorithm and exploitation and what have you. Like, is there any reason to have a conversation with you, man? Because it doesn't seem that way.
Well, Randy, what you're failing to recognize is that a lot of people know who he is.
The shallowness of a lot of
Can I be the new Twitter CEO? Is a tweet from him.
A lot of the YouTubers suffer from this exact thing. So I'm a bit obsessed with Minecraft, and I watch a lot of Minecraft videos, and there is more substance to watching some of those hermitcraft, like Mumbo Jumbo and Grian and like, like Corrales and all these like Minecraft video game players. There's more substance. I think there's more like wholesome, real life substance to listening to these guys talk while playing than I've ever seen from any Mr. Beast video. It's just so artificial, so plastic.
No, well, here we go. Here's some thought leadership. If someone offered you $10,000, but if you take it, a random person on Earth dies, would you take the $10,000?
Dude, that question's been posed a million times.
Yeah. Can I tell you something really dark? 45% of people, yes, of his 1.8 million people
that's my main issue. There's just no substance. There's nothing.
It's
there.
just all
nothing meaningful.
Nothing meaningful.
It's just money. You're just moving money around.
You're just moving money around. Exactly. It's just moving money around.
You're just moving money around, and you're putting a nice little bow on it.
Come over here, throw me some 10 grand. That's fine.
Yeah, I was gonna say if you're watching right now, I actually take it all back, and I love you.
Yeah, just give me some money.
Be your friend. No, I don't care. I don't care about the guy.
It's so shallow.
It's the ethos around it. Like it's these contradictory, vapid statements that have this sheen of kindness or empathy.
Yes,
and it's just like. No, like in the broader part, it's like yes, it is good that you.
It reminds me of that.
Some money away.
Have you seen Running Man, the Arnold Schwarzenegger, the Running Man movie?
I've never seen it.
The game show host in Running Man. He's like this. I forget who it's played by, but that's who Mr. Beast reminds me of. So I'll run a quick clip of that while in the edit. But it's just this weird, twisted, like dystopian. Shallow thing. I don't know, man. I don't know. But we're running out of time.
He's my fucking. I'm fucking older than this guy.
Yeah, you are.
What the fuck?
We're on YouTube. YouTube.com/@WeDoCrime.
We're right on his tail. Subscribe now. You might be our 129th million subscribers.
Last time I looked at our YouTube channel, we had 3.
Let's not talk about the metrics.
Whoa.
No, I'm talking about the metrics.
Can we hide that number?
No, I think those followers are us.
Yeah, possibly. We have 4 followers, I think, right now. Strong, really.
Strong.
We're going after
followers.
Quality, not quantity. All right.
Yeah, are we? It's YouTube. It's YouTube.
Quality of the subscribers.
If we're gonna move money like
all
Mr.
4
Beast,
of our subscribers, 3 of them are right in front of us.
I love this header.
They're quality individuals.
Yeah, if we're gonna move money like Mr. Beast, we need more numbers.
Yeah, we'll cure 2,000 blind people.
And Mr. Beast, please leave us a voicemail. We'd like to hear your thoughts on our criticism. WeDoCrime.com/voicemail.
Mr. Beast is never gonna hear this.
I'm sure he's fine.
We're gonna get like Mrs. Almost Beast. Like some parody account.
I don't know. I just stumbled on a stat that he's like 70% approval on, like, as far as all YouTubers, like everyone loves him. So we're probably gonna just get torn to shreds.
That's why you'll notice I'm hedging. I keep saying things like I'm sure he's a fine person personally. But no, it's
Kansas is a fine place to grow up.
He's not a guy at this point. He's an idea, and when people become ideas. When people have this many monies, it's like you have to be able to take yourself out of it a little bit and like actually think about the stuff that's going on.
Yeah. All right. Episode 21, man. Thanks.
Good night, guys.
Good night.
Now watch this drive.
So we have to protect our genius.
We're not selling anybody's data. Now watch this drive.
I have a son. He's 10 years old. He has computers. He is so good with these computers.
We're not selling anybody's data. Now watch this drive.